In this lecture, we'll go over using the annotation tool, which is a really cool tool that allows you to draw right inside some editors like the 3D viewport, so you can leave yourself notes and drawings. So let's switch on the annotation tool by clicking on this icon right there. And then we simply left click and drag to draw strokes in the 3D view. And by default, these strokes get added into the 3D view at whatever depth the 3D cursor is at from the view. And we can move that 3D cursor by holding Shift and right clicking anywhere in the scene. And for example, if I rotated the view like that and I drew again, and then rotated the view, you can see the stroke gets added back there with the cursor. So we're actually drawing these strokes in 3D space, but these strokes are also always going to appear on top of everything else, so they're always visible. Now let's go over some of the different types of annotation tools. So if you left click on this and hold it in, you get a menu here of the different options. So on annotate, that's just freehand drawing like that. If we switch that to annotate line, then if you left click and drag, you can see it just draws a perfectly straight line for you. And now let's switch over to annotate polygon. And with this, it's very similar to the line drawing. You would first left click to place the first dot, then you can left click and hold it to draw the line. Then you can do it again, and it will connect the dots for you. So that's a handy tool. And then of course we have an eraser as well, which is pretty self-explanatory. You'll just left click and drag over the lines that you've drawn and it will erase them. Now let me press Ctrl and Z to undo the erasing so we actually have some lines to work with. And now let's go over some of the options for the lines themselves. So let me press the N key for the right side toolbar and we'll go to the View tab and then expand the Annotations panel. And here we can change settings for the selected annotation layer, like color. We can change that to green, or we can also change the line thickness, and it will affect all the lines in that annotation layer. And we can also toggle visibility of that layer as well. And while we have that layer selected, if we draw other lines, all these lines get added in using the color and thickness settings. We can also add new layers as well, just by clicking on the plus sign here, and then we can even double click on this and rename it. Then we can change that color to something like red, and then all the lines we draw in this layer will use these settings. Alright, let me add in a new layer now, and let me get rid of the old ones since things are getting a little bit messy. Let's go over drawing placement now. So let me switch this back to the regular annotate tool, and we already know that if we draw like that in the 3D view, it's placed at the depth of the 3D cursor. But there's other ways to place your drawings as well. For example, if we go over to the Tool panel or the Tool tab, we have some options here for the active tool, including placement. Right now it's set to 3D cursor, but we can switch that to view. And this is very, very cool because it's based on the view. So if we rotate the view, you can see that drawing stays in place. So that is actually really handy placement when you're adding some notes to your scene. And we can also switch placement to surface. And whenever we draw a line over a surface, you can see it connects directly to that surface. It draws right on the cube, which is also super cool. Now, annotations can actually be animated as well, meaning you can save different drawings or notes on different frames. This can be useful when you want to leave yourself different notes at different points of an animation, for example, or if you wanted to draw a quick concept animation. So let me start a new layer here. I'll get rid of the old one. We'll start with a fresh canvas, and let me get rid of the cube there. And let's draw a little animation. So in this layer, let me draw some lines, and I'll draw us a quick set of stairs. Should have used polygon for this, but whatever. Okay, so we got some stairs, and let's make these stairs red, and I'll rename this to stairs. Now let's add a new layer, and we'll keep that blue, and we'll draw a cube just falling down the stairs. So let me turn on, let's go with regular annotate. I want kind of a sketchy style for this animation, and let's draw our cube right here to start off with. So right now these drawings are saved at the current frame, which you can see down here is frame 1. Now if we don't draw in any other frame, then this drawing will be visible in every frame. So you can see I'm going to different frames here, and the drawing's the same on all of them because we don't have any changes. So let me type in frame 2 there, and let's redraw the cube so it's inching forward toward the stairs. So first I'll make sure I have the cube's layer selected, since that's the one we want to animate. And let me start the cube about right there. And I'll just left click and drag and redraw the cube closer to the staircase. You can see as soon as I started drawing that, the previous frame was deleted, and this becomes the new frame saved at frame 2. Now if I press the left arrow to go back to frame 1, you can see that drawing is still there, And now if I press the right arrow to go to frame 2, you can see it lurched forward a little bit. So we've already begun our animation. Now one problem with this is that, as you can see, for example, if I go to frame 3 and try to draw another cube again, the previous frame disappears. So I'd no longer have a reference guide to use when I'm drawing this moving forward. We can actually fix that using this option here called Onion Skin. Let me expand that and I'll enable it. So you can see it's showing us the previous frame in this dim green color, which is specified right here in the before options. We can also show the later frames in this purplish blue as well. So for example, if I go back to frame 2, we can see the previous frame 1 and the third frame as well. So we have these references to use when animating. You can change the colors here as well, and you can also specify how many frames before or after the drawings will be visible. For example, if I go back to frame 3 and I wanted all the previous frames visible, I can just increase this number like that. So let me keep this set to 2 and I'll continue drawing my animation. So let me go ahead to frame 4 and I'll left click and drag starting there, and you can see my previous frames are visible, so I can use them as references. And I'll just continue making my animation of this falling down the stairs. Alright, and that will do it. Let me press the left arrow key all the way back up to frame 0 and restart the animation. Let me turn off Onion Skin just so we see the current frame drawing, and I'll press spacebar to play the animation, and there we go. So that is how you can animate annotations. This is such a cool system for adding notes and drawings into your files. And I really love the Onion Skin option down here. I like it because you can add some trails behind your animation for an extra effect. So if I turn that on and I made this blue, I dimmed it down a little bit, and I increase the number of frames trailing it, you can see they fade out as they go back further. And if we didn't want any future frames visible, what we could do is turn the after value here down to -1, and that gets rid of those. So now we're just left with a trail behind our animated cube, which is really neat. And the annotation tool also works in some 2D editors, like the shader editor, for example. And if you open up the left side toolbar here, you see you have an annotation tool. So you just click on that and draw, but it only works when you actually have some nodes down. So let me switch over to the world nodes, and yeah, we should have some default nodes there, which we do. And you can just draw in here, just like we were doing in the 3D viewport. And over here, under View, you have your annotation layers, just like in the 3D viewport as well. Now, one last thing I want to show you is that you can change the default annotation color. It's blue right now, but if we go into Edit, down to Preferences, and we go to, which tab is it? The Editing tab here, you can see you can change the default color and default eraser radius for the Annotations tool. And alright, that's actually going to do it for this lecture, so I'll see you in the next one.